Beware! Do not watch this video if you aren't already aware of Clan Gen and had a warrior cats phase. That had will no longer be a had once you try this game out. You have been warned. It happened to me. It could happen to you. Hey, go on Comic Fury right now. Do it. Look at the front page. Is there an icon with a cat in the recently updated section? Does it have clan anywhere in the name? Yep, you've just stumbled across a genuine Clan Gen comic. I say to go to Comic Fury because, and this is just personal observation, so don't count it as a guarantee, every time I go to Comic Fury, I can find at least one Clan Gen comic within the first 3 pages of the recently updated section. Why, though? What the hell even is Clan Gen? And why are there more Clan Gen comics actively updating on Comic Fury right now than the real famous Nuzlocke comic spawning game Pokemon? Clan Gen is a fan game for the I'm gonna say teen because some of the deaths in that series are brutal, even though I think their target audience is younger than that, book series by Aaron Hunter, Warriors. Given Aaron Hunter is actually multiple people and they can come and go as needed, so it's a bit more complicated than, look, most artists under a certain age who also know how to animate got their start because they found the Warriors animation community as a kid, and I am one of those artists. I have so many Warrior Cats factoids rattling around in here that have been there since 2011. Clan Gen is a text-based colony sim like the Brand Steel Hunger Games simulator, only far more complex. Rather than putting in your own names and character images, the game itself will piece together what your cats look like from a roster of various sprite sheets, such as age, pose, fur length, base color, and pattern, as well as white spotting, coat tint, tortoiseshell patches, scars, eye colors including heterochromia, and accessories. They even have vitiligo that grows as your cat ages. It's practically because you obviously generate a lot of cats in this game, impossible to have 2 cats that look exactly the same because, I mean, look at these sprite sheets. They're massive and only getting bigger. Hell, I know the dev version just released an adjustment to how accessories are colored, so now there's even more variety in things like colors. On top of generating the appearances of cats, the game will also randomly pull from a pool of personalities and names to give your cat, accurate to the naming conventions of the series. Can you tell that personalities wasn't originally in there and I had to fit it in? Cats in your clan could have a traditional 2-part name, or they could have just a loner name with a single word, or a kitty pet name with like a human pet cat name. Or you may get cats with Sky Clan style names, where they kept their kitty pet name but added a suffix to it. Behold, Taco Bell Nut. It's still the best name I've ever gotten in Clan Gen. I love her so much. Just like with the Hunger Games simulator, this game has a list of events that it will choose between every new time skip, or in Clan Gen's case, it's moons. These events decide if cats get sick, injured, or die, or there's good stuff too, I promise. They'll also decide if warriors retire, or who becomes the next deputy if the previous one steps down or dies. There's a lot of death in warriors. Or if kids become apprentices, or the apprentices become warriors. And also, unlike with Hunger Games Simulator, the game remembers more than just which cats have died. It also tracks relationships, which means there's a whole separate section of the moon skips that shows you interpersonal interactions between the cats, and determines if they like each other, dislike each other, or even love each other. And like Hunger Games Simulator, if the cats dislike each other too much, there may even be a murder. The game isn't entirely skipping moons and seeing what happens though. You have control over the game as well. If you're playing the expanded mode, you need to keep an eye on how much food and medicine your cat has, and you need to make sure you send cats out to gather supplies when they get low. Otherwise, your cats may starve or be more likely to die when they get sick or injured. There's a lot you can do with patrols. You can send cats out to train and hone their skills, you can send cats to the border to find new clan members or build relationships with your neighboring clans, or, you know, if you want to get a little spicy, you can worsen them to the point of a war starting. And you can choose the cats that go on each patrol, so if you want to see 2 cats get to know each other better, you can send them out together and see what happens. There are special patrols specifically for different relationship types. Or you can just give your clan a mediator and use that cat to force their relationship to build the way you want it to. This would be a solid game on its own, so the fact that this is a fan game where the devs, writers, and artists can't be compensated for their work is absolutely wild. And yeah, they can't be compensated for their work, which really sucks because they put a lot of love and care into this game. But it does mean that the game is completely free to play. You will need a computer though. From my research, it's looking like the game's mobile compatible version is way behind their computer versions. So completely free plus however much a computer costs if you don't have a computer, sorry. Okay, so that's the game. What's with all these comics? ClanGen plays month by month or moon cycle by moon cycle, which means that these comics progress at a rapid pace. By nature of the game, they show little snippets of time within each month and then jump to the next one once they've written generally at most 10 pages worth of comic. ClanGen comics are formatted somewhere between two ends of a scale, pure gameplay or full story. Pure gameplay comics are the ones that rarely, if ever, fully write out scenes from the game and just show the interactions the artist thought were cute or important in a single panel with the description the game gave of the event pasted on top or below it. Really good versions of this type of comic will be able to show enough personality in each moon event for people to understand and get attached to these cats, even without additional detail. And, of course, speech bubbles aren't banned in these single character scenes, although I think adding speech bubbles places them a little further away from the direct end of the spectrum. Like, there's a little bit of full story in that. Though both comics dip into overarching stories occasionally, two of the comics that utilize this pure gameplay style of comic effectively are Fallen Clan and Splinter Clan. Splinter Clan in particular is amazing at keeping characters consistent, even just in little gameplay snippets. More Snow is the perfect example of this. From her first appearance, you can see the harshness in her words and the way that she treats Droplet Kit. But when the author does in-character Q&As with the cats, More Snow is shown to have reasons behind her actions and harshness. It shows how a well-thought-out character will shine through, even in single-panel vignettes. Also, shout out to Sleepy Dawn, who is the best example of this in Fallen Clan. Him crying over a kitten being named after him, oh, I was gonna cry too! On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have full story comics. These ones usually have a planned ending, and their save files have already been called wrapped, or I assume. Truthfully, the ClanGen community is so new that none of these comics have really had time to finish yet. We all know how webcomics work, right? That's what this channel's about. You gotta give them at least 10 years. The ones off the top of my head for this are Morning's Bane and 4 and 20 Blackbirds. You'll notice the easiest way to spot one of these types of comics is the name. If the comic has a full story in mind, they're able to pick a name that encompasses the story rather than the setting or the clan. Usually ClanGen comics are named after the clan, duh. Morning's Bane is named after a set of fictional herbs, Clotting Root, which helps speed up the clotting process, and Morning's Bane, a nearly identical plant to Clotting Root with one crucial detail. It's lethal. Is it any surprise the story follows the ghost of a cat who died due to a botched surgery? Now, I'm not fully sure why 4 and 20 Blackbirds is named what it is yet, but you pinged it, right? The name comes from the poem Sing a Song of Sixpence. Is it exclusively a song? I guess it must be, although I've kind of forgotten the tune. Though, looking at the full poem, you can kind of get an idea of why the name was picked. 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. When the pie was opened, the birds began to sing. This comic follows a clan that is being utterly consumed by something. It nearly wiped out the entire clan and lives in a cave called the Maw. If the cats stray too far from their home, they join those who have been consumed. The middle of the spectrum are those stories that have... It's rude to call them this, but I don't know what else to call them. Gimmicks? Maybe twists would be the better option. They're not really added cheaply. The authors clearly have fun with them. But these comics are ones that have world building or lore beyond what is applied in the game, which is basically pretty strictly just warriors. Aphid Clan is a great example of this. The cats in this series evolve a bit like Pokemon when they move up in the ranks, and there are little hidden pieces of lore about the toxic world they all live in that appears once every few moons, and I mean, I'm just going to assume the Pokemon evolution has something to do with how radioactive their world is. Dusk Clan builds intrigue in their world by replacing the wild animals with cryptids, and our clan implements an everyone has a special power twist. And then there are the comics that replace cats with something else entirely. The ClanGen community has a dedicated modding scene that can turn cats into dragons, dogs, winged felines, or anything that anyone has ever felt the passion to make. I won't touch too much on this because most comics are just straight vanilla playthroughs, but challenge or modded runs are also completely doable and do exist, even if I haven't personally read any of them. And you know what? I'm burying the lead here. I'm making one of each end of the spectrum of ClanGen comics. Hope Clan is the story of a cat who stumbles upon a camp full of dead cats. She's given 9 lives by a Morning Star Clan cat and creates a clan to replace the one that got tragically wiped out. It's a story that I think will come to a final conclusion rather than continuing indefinitely, though that wasn't my original idea. I just feel like the story is coming to its natural conclusion as I play. And I love so many of the little stories that have come from it. Happening Clan is a clan full of theater kids as they build up a new clan alongside the beach. There are mini arcs and unexpected amulets changing the whole tone of the comic, but it is, in nature, a comic meant to continue as long as I'm having fun. So, the game's cursed me twice. Why has the game cursed me twice? I'm not a feral artist. My last Warrior Cats animation was made over a decade ago. How did this game hook me so intensely that I made 2 comics about it? 2 comics I'm so excited about that I now have a folder of commissions on VGen that I want to order specifically of my ClanGen cats. And why is there seemingly a 1 in 5 chance that any comic artist I talk to about ClanGen reveals to me that they have been planning to or are making a ClanGen comic of their own? Yes, I'm serious, this has happened multiple times. ClanGen is a game that allows the human pattern-seeking brain to find patterns. For the most part, events in the game are completely random. The game just picks a few events to happen every month, then smashes however many random characters that calls for into the ad-libs name section. But that's not going to stop people from seeing that a random cat did a random action and laughing and rolling their eyes. Like, of course they do that, that's so them! Jade Ivy despises Ibis Gleam. Why? I don't know, but I've noticed that she's always the one to instigate negative interactions between them. Speaking of Ibis Gleam, he once found a strange 2-leg object, then proceeded to do increasingly strange things for months, culminating with his brother being eaten by a literal sea monster. That's a story. That's angst. Even though those 2 things aren't related, I can make them related. I can make Ibis Gleam's amulet the cause of Rhyme Swan's death. When you're playing, you have no idea what could possibly be coming next, which means writing is as exciting for you as it is for everyone reading it. I had no idea there were literal sea monsters in this game, so the game itself is what decided it wanted to be an eldritch horror. And also, writing comics takes so much work, especially in the planning stage. Making up events and timelines and stringing it together in a coherent way, only to step back and realize the character who needs to have the knowledge of what the villain is doing in order to defeat the villain was never actually told the information, he just spontaneously knows everything for no reason, and you didn't notice until the comic was too far down the production pipeline to fix it. Oh! Sorry to any Power Pills fan who didn't notice this and is now going to be unable to stop thinking about it on rereads of the Shady Comic Con. ClanGen gives you the events of the story. Rather than coming up with it yourself, you can kind of blur your eyes a little and look over the list of events to connect dots that aren't actually there. It's relatively easy and it requires so much less thinking than writing something completely from scratch. I make a webcomic. I make multiple webcomics. I have to make a minimum of 3 pages a week, and when I'm done, I don't really have it in me to do any more of that, but I make comics. That's the one thing I do for fun, so I want to make more. in Clan Gen comics? You just let the game decide what happens for you, and you can draw as little or as much of it as you want. It's the perfect way to relax and unwind, or even just practice your character writing or experiment with faster ways to make art. Clan Gen is a fun game to play on your own, but it feels so much better to share it. You're going on an adventure with these characters, and being able to show why you're getting all emotional over two kittens named Cloud and Cloudy, rather than just explaining it after the fact, is so much more satisfying. Suddenly you're not telling people who don't really care that much about something that moved you in an abstract, text-based video game. You've put a face to the name. These people were able to grow as attached to these characters as you have, and can get as excited, scared, or sad as you were while playing. I keep trying to make clans where I don't log what happens to them, and none of them have lasted very long because I can't stand to see these cats, members of Ripple Clan, Echo Clan, or any other clan name that means something that fades out over time. I just can't stand to watch them fade into nothingness after their stories moved me so much. I want to be able to look back at the journey we went on, to remember the founders of the clan, or the small nobodies who never moved on to be deputies or leaders, but who touched my heart nonetheless. Clan Gen tells so many great stories, but I know who I am, and I'm someone who obsessively hoards my art because I don't like to see the things I experienced be forgotten. So, I document my playthroughs. Those are the reasons why I make Clan Gen comics. Everyone else probably has their own story, but I have to imagine these are at least some of the reasons. So, if you haven't tried Clan Gen out, please do. It's available for download on itch.io, link in the description, or you can go the extra step of downloading the Clan Gen beta to see what the devs have been cooking up. But just beware, these cats will find a place to live in your heart, and if you're the type to want to create, you're going to try and find a way to document their journeys. Play at your own risk. Hey, thanks for watching! I fall down the Clan Gen rabbit hole like once a month, and so this will probably not be my last Clan Gen video. In fact, I'm actually planning on doing making a Clan Gen process video, or Clan Gen comic process video. That's on the docket. I just need more time to work on it than half a month, which is when I'm recording this audio. But, if you want to see more, let me know. Oh, and what are your favorite Clan Gen comics? I've kind of already read most of the ones I've seen, so I need new ones. Preferably ones that have been going for a while so that it'll take me more than like 10 minutes to read them. Oh, and like the video, subscribe for more, read my own comics. I have more than just Clan Gen ones, but you can read those too. And the comics I referenced in the video, please read those as well. Those links are all in the description below. Read more webcomics, and I'll see you next time. Bye!